Welcome back to another episode of Bloomberg Report, providing detailed and high-quality news daily. I'm your host, Jordan Pala, and today we're touching on something some of you may view as a hobby, while others may not be so fortunate to claim it in that light. It's been a brief 41 years where it's become legalized in 48 states, and the industry has only managed to expand since then. Today we'll be examining the rise of legalized gambling and its impact on our greater economy. In terms of its influence on the industry, it's become a diverse and expansive market, taking in the form of casinos, lottery tickets, sports wagers, and the increasingly popular online gambling. It's truly an atmosphere unlike any other, and it's genuinely difficult to find a confident stance on the pro-gambling side as well as its antithesis. To begin with, we will highlight some positive outcomes from this legislation. Only 25 years after its acceptance on 96% of the country's states, gross revenue from its legalized gambling reached a whopping $72.9 billion, accounting for almost 3% of states' self-induced revenue. A big part of this growth is the increased purchasing power of those lucky enough to win big and their contribution to stimulating the markets. But it's more important and the more consumer-focused when we dive into the other side of the argument. With me today to speak on this in detail is the Vice President of the Asian Pacific Association for Gambling Studies, William Thompson. William, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Jordan. It's truly a conflicting topic to take an affirmative stance on, and this is coming from someone who was born and raised in Las Vegas.
As someone who is not only involved with the culture, but examines it on a professional level, what's your take on the true impact from legalized gambling, and should we further promote it or restrain it?
I think first and foremost, it's crucial to understand what we're actually dealing with here, and that's a medication. The biological adrenaline rush we gain from usage, as well as the dosages we choose to administer under, all gravitate towards the idea of gambling becoming more than just a game. And just as medications work, gambling has various side effects depending on the user, and we're currently seeing more and more problem gamblers than ever before.
Now that's certainly an interesting parallel. But I agree, problem gambling has become an even greater force than we've predetermined. I understand you brought some figures in for our daily numbers run this morning?
That's right, Jordan. A colleague of mine, Erica Okerberg, and I ran a mass survey on those who are members of the Gamblers Anonymous Association about 17 years ago, and I'll share the most alarming statistics for the sake of time. On average, financial losses amount to $112,400 with an average of $60,000 in gambling debt stacked on top of that. We've also concluded that almost half of these respondents have filed for bankruptcy, and well over half have admitted to stealing money or property to sustain their addiction.
And that was almost 2 decades ago. Based off your recent research, would you say these figures have intensified since then?
In fact, they have, and few states are taking initiatives to control this properly. But more and more groups like Gamblers Anonymous grow annually, showing that the consumer is becoming self-aware with their dosages of the gambling medication.
And that's a step in the right direction. When we come back, William and I will dive into a more detailed discussion regarding the rise of online gambling and its effect on the consumer. Until then, stay tuned for more on the story.